There we go. Almost forgot to put my ears in. At any rate, we're getting ready to do some more reaction. This is Night Stalker, Season 1, Episode 3. I don't know why I say Season 1. It's a limited series. Purdy's had her nails clipped, so they don't kill me every time she walks on me now. I went and saw Peter Rabbit 2 today. I went and had lunch with a friend who I've only seen one other time since COVID hit. Last time I saw her was back in September. So we had a good visit, had some pizza, bitched about the old job. Old job for me, current job for her. At any rate, it's been a long day. Oh, and I got my nails done. Can't really tell, but it's Magic Night. It's a dark blue with or kind of a purplish blue with a little bit of metallic in it. I don't like plain polish. I like a little dimension to it, at the very least. So it's been a long day, and it's amazing how tired you can get from doing nothing, from sitting around, pampering yourself, for lack of a better way of putting it. But we are home, and we need to get some Night Stalker watched. My plan is to go ahead and watch episode 3 and then go ahead and finish the series with episode 4 and hopefully get a little bit ahead on Punky Brewster as well. And depending on how tired I am by the end of all that, I may go ahead and start Ratchet. Ratchet is going to be replacing Night Stalker, so we shall see. Tomorrow, I plan on working in the kitchen. It's really messy right now because half the pantry is in the kitchen, half the upper cupboards are in the kitchen, and I'm trying to get the dust from the construction off of everything, donate stuff I don't need into that basket. Sorry, I didn't mean to swatch you with the zipper. Put the donations in there, and then I can get rid of this basket, take it to the local thrift store. So I'm hoping to do that tomorrow. I haven't really been filming any of that because it's just a messy process. Tuesday, I have a meeting with one of the construction companies to hopefully put my deck back together. In the meantime, I need to go ahead and do a video about the chimney work that they did. I didn't get video of the actual work, but I did take some pictures here and there. I also need to go ahead and do my weight review. So I might do that tonight rather than start Ratchet. But we need to go ahead and start with one thing at a time, and that is Night Stalker episode 3. The neighbors can get a little bit loud. I do have the window open because it is summertime now. And although I'm trying not to, I tried to keep the windows closed as long as possible so I could acclimate to the heat and therefore not get so hot later on because we're not even hot. It's been in the 70s, maybe the low 80s, and it's going to get up into the upper 90s before too long. And I've already got most of the windows open, so that kind of sucks. I do need to get the fans out and that sort of thing. But the one window is open, and so you may hear their very loud truck. You may hear them talking and laughing. You may even hear their music at some point. So if you do, I apologize. If it's too noticeable from what I'm hearing, I'll go ahead and close the window. But otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get caught up. See, episode 2, I can't remember what day we were on. I think we're in the 120s for the day. They still don't know who he is. Oh, I remember. I was trying to remember what was the last thing because I remember it, stopped on a da-da-da-dum kind of moment. They found a dentist he had been to, and they planned to set up a sting to try to catch him. They've started doing that. I know just from the research I did when watching American Horror Story that he doesn't get caught this way. Plus, we have this episode and a whole nother episode, so more has got to be going on. Still don't have any patterns. He tried to bust into, I can't remember his name, Frank, and all I can think of is Gus, and Gus is not right. But the other guy, the younger officer, they tried to break into his house, and then Night Stalker did break into the neighbor's house, who's also the neighbor of Linda, was her name, one of the law enforcement ladies that he works with. I almost had his name. Isn't it like 3 letters? It's going to mess me up. Hopefully they have the names at the start of everything. That's the main gist. We've got the shoe print, we've got the description, and we've got the dentist office. And that's pretty much all we've got right now. So I think she's finally settled down. Shall I show them what position you got in? Bring you guys closer. Here. She's just kind of half curled on my leg and on the arm of the chair. This claw is getting into my gut, and she'll move around a few more times yet. Okay. Get you kind of back in position so it's not wanting to start playing. I'm probably going to have to refresh and try again. Oh, and these right here are scratches from Ryder from when I tried to take him to the vet. They gave him a shot for UTI, and it seems to have worked. He's not going to the litter box every 5 minutes. Worked a lot faster than we thought. She thought it would take about a week.
Una palabra no dice nada. Y al
Not a
mismo
word.
una mirada no dice nada. Y al mismo
I say
tiempo.
nothing.
And one of the executives from my department thought that we were wasting money, that the guy was
Gil.
probably
I was
not going to come
close.
back, and the alarm malfunctioned or wasn't wired properly.
Oh
It
no.
didn't go off.
Go figure, right? Murphy's Law.
I can see it all.
What? What?
My grandmother was a sports
Are you gonna
fanatic.
hush? And they're next, aren't they? Gunshots.
And there was quite a bit of jewelry and other items taken.
He
Just
hasn't
showed
taken
everything.
stuff before, has he?
There's another case in Northridge.
This
I
man
wish
entered
at
the
this
house.
point they pulled up a map with a pin for each attack, whether it was the children being kidnapped or the murders or the sexual assaults or whatever it is, but a pin for each of them just to see how it laid out on the map, because I'd like to see that visually, and they might do it at some point. Editing Sherry here. So it appears that they have a map with all of the killings, but not of the kidnapping and rapes of the children, since he was not convicted of that.
So they don't make that anymore with that red primer. So that became of interest.
Find stores that sell old ammunition.
Which told me whoever our suspect is, he's following the news.
Part of that
Story in regards
narcissistic
to,
stuff.
in the
Well,
latest series,
kind of the opposite of the narcissistic. He doesn't really want them to
I
know
made the
much
flip
about
of the
him,
market.
but
Hey,
enjoys
this case here, this recent
getting
one,
away with
that
it.
shows the I had no idea it was going to be on the front page of the LA Times with a photograph.
With a whole bunch of personal details about his life.
And see, that pisses me off because there's a certain responsibility the media should have in putting that kind of putting information that puts a person at risk is irresponsible and uncalled for. especially lately, we've got this mob mentality thing going on. And, when we have, I don't remember his name, but the dentist who went hunting for big game, and it went all around social media, and people started calling the dental office, making threats, and they were making threats at his house, spray painting threats and, that kind of stuff. And I'm an animal lover, as you guys may have figured out, but forming a mob is not going to solve anything. Threatening people in that way is not going to solve anything. They're, if they're being threatened, they're not going to listen anyhow. Why would I listen to anybody who's threatening me, right? So I just have a huge disdain for media doing that kind of stuff and perpetuating things and contributing to the mob mentality kind of stuff. And even media outlets that were very well respected back in the day have contributed to some of that a little bit. You don't see it often, but every once in a while, NPR does something that's very slanted. And I'm like, whoa, not cool. So, the media printing stuff, personal about the detective, is putting him at risk. Just as we want responsibility and accountability for people who are breaking the law or breaking other people's rights or, this, that, or the other thing, the same thing for the media. We need to hold them responsible and accountable for the stuff that they print and share. And that includes us and our friends. I call out friends for posting stuff that has been found untrue or that contributes to the problem because they're adding fuel to the fire. And so where's my responsibility for keeping things in check and letting the law do what they need to do, letting advocates do what they need to do, that sort of thing. When we take the law into our own hands is when things start getting out of control, going through the proper channels and all that kind of stuff. Now, sometimes you got to break the rules and take a different channel and all that kind of stuff, but usually it's discussed and pondered and debated, is this the best route to take and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes they solve crimes that way. But for the newspaper to print, okay, they printed what he said it, he's not denying it, but then to print personal stuff about him, that's just uncalled for. Huge pet peeve.
Those who don't already have guns are buying them.
Will you buy a gun?
Definitely.
Do you know how to use a firearm?
No.
25 to
Never
30
get a
attacks.
gun unless you know how to use it.
I'm afraid.
And don't be afraid to fire the gun. When I was being stalked, I had a gun for about 6 months. I had already had gun safety classes, and the person who lent me the gun went over stuff with me again because it had been a while since the gun safety classes and all that sort of stuff. The sheriff in both counties that I lived and worked knew I had the gun and, all this kind of stuff. And one of the common things among everybody checking in with me was, you need to be ready to kill them if you need to shoot. And I was like, yeah, ready to do that. So you don't want the weapon to be used against you. You don't want to add more weapons to their arsenal. So know how to use a gun and don't be afraid to use it.
The Herald Examiner called him the Night Stalker. And that was the branding that stuck.
It fits the best out of all of them.
And we walked out the door as a family. He got in his car and we went.
Can't blame her. We're over 4 months into
We hit a
this
diamond bar.
hunt.
And it's the same 25 caliber ammunition that we had seen previously at Peterson.
With the red stamp
That's with the red primer.
primer.
I remember getting there, walking through the crime scene, and getting angry. For a lack of term, looky-loos, because they all wanted to see. This is all big news now.
So he's mad because all the evidence has been tampered with.
And then carved a satanic symbol on the wall.
Isn't it Mac the
We
knife,
had
not Jack the
somebody-
knife?
Tell me about the 25 ammunition, the expended round.
Red primer.
So there's a red ring around the primer.
So how far away was this? I missed where the
Somebody
town
had-
is.
Hey, there's been another murder in San Francisco that's
Oh,
linked
San
to
Francisco.
this.
It's about a
Newsroom,
6-hour
the
drive, I
Burbank
think.
Airport. And I said, what do you do? And he said, I'm a police officer. I said, well, all your buddies were
And
here,
he
right?
talks.
Manson-like with writing on the wall. Suddenly, this becomes a series of crimes.
Don't tell me they went public.
Especially with any contacts with any other subjects and or the public.
Don't tell me San Francisco tells the journalists about the shoe.
Your attention, please, for a brief statement.
So Feinstein's going to tell them?
Everybody, I understand more than a dozen murders committed in Southern California.
He's going to change guns again.
The killer knows we know about the shoe print being left at the various crime scenes.
Yep. So he's going to change his shoes, change the weapon again.
Stop drinking, get something to eat, be back up in the office in 45 minutes.
Another murder.
You took two men that are down and out, tired. You put a smile back on their face.
He basically told them off. Not Frank or Gil, but everybody else. I can always tell when somebody's in my driveway because my cats growl. Where are we at? Back in LA? Nope.
And the description of the car.
That gets released to the news media.
Oh, great.
And they were able to pull a latent fingerprint off the rearview mirror where apparently the suspect had reached up and adjusted it.
Did it give a name?
We now have.
As it turns out, that radio had been stolen during the Bell and Lang murder.
So another connection. And boomboxes were the thing back then.
He got that bracelet from his friend from El Paso, who she only knew as Rick. Armando
So El
Rodriguez
Paso,
lives in
Rick and Richard.
LA, and I started over the back seat, hell bent on demolishing this guy.
I'm kind of curious as to where this will go because roughing up a witness isn't cool either. And there's different tactics to be used, but he admits he physically made contact with the guy and he admits what he was trying to do. So I'm wondering where this is headed with things, because there's ways to interrogate people and get information out of people without assaulting them.
And he said, Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez.
Okay, so we got the full name. So we got the full name. We got Richard Ramirez. Hello, buddy. Hi. You saying hi to everybody? You know, you waited till the end of the show. What was I saying? I know he got the information he needed. There was a different way to approach it, and I'm wondering if he got any kind of repercussions for assaulting Armando or anything like that. On the other hand, it makes you also wonder what kind of relationship Armando had with Richard. And since there was vomit, could that have been Armando instead? There hasn't really been any mention of any partner or any evidence of any partner. So I don't know about that. And the vomiting doesn't make sense for Richard because he's been doing all this stuff. Nothing makes him sick to his stomach. He gets off on it, hence the semen. The vomiting part doesn't make sense unless he was intentionally doing it just to be gross, just to add more to the scene or something like that. But so we've got a name, we've got a better image, we've got several key pieces of information, although a lot of that information is now public, and so whether he changes it up or not is another thing. But we've got one more episode, which means that probably towards the middle to end of it, the guys are going to catch Richard. But, well, we know how he gets caught. So, what my guess is that now they've got a name, they're going to find his picture somewhere. And my guess is he's got a previous criminal record. And so that's where they're going to pull his picture as well as be able to compare his fingerprints and kind of go from there. And then they will publish information to the newspaper that is seen at the store that he happens to walk into, and the mob gets him. So I don't know how much of that reenactment they're going to do. It'd be nice to see that reenactment, honestly, based on the fact of all this other stuff that we've seen, the horrendousness that we've seen that he's done. So it would be nice to see him get beaten. But at any rate, that's it for episode 3. I will see you guys next time for episode 4. Bye.